Today, we're diving deep into a really comprehensive and I gotta say, pretty provocative socio-economic philosophy that you've probably never heard of. It's called the Progressive Utilization Theory, or Prout for short. And let me tell you, it's a complete reimagining of, well, just about everything, from our economy to how a world government might work. So yeah, let's get right into it. Now, the founder of Prout, P.R. Sarkar, did not pull any punches. He starts with statements just like this one, that democracy is foolocracy. I mean, wow, that is a bold, challenging claim, right? It's really designed to make you stop and question the very systems we just take for granted. And honestly, it's the perfect way to kick off our explainer today. And really, this is the question at the heart of everything Prout is about. It suggests that all the crises we're facing, they're not just little issues that need a few tweaks. Nope, they're symptoms of some deep structural flaws. And Prout offers a diagnosis and a cure that are, to put it mildly, radical. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to start with Prout's foundational idea about our cosmic inheritance. Then we'll look at its really unique theory of history, diagnose the so-called diseases of our society today, and then we'll explore its detailed blueprints for a totally new economy and a new world order. And all of that leads to a final goal called universalism. All right, first up, the philosophical starting point. According to Prout, almost all of our problems, we're talking everything from war to inequality, they all stem from a single fundamental misunderstanding. And here it is. This is the big one, the concept of cosmic inheritance. The idea is actually simple, but it is so profound. It says that no one, not a person, not a country, truly owns the Earth's resources. They are the common property of all living beings, kind of held in trust. We all have the right to use them, sure, but not to hoard them or keep others from them. And this brings us to a huge problem. Prout argues that our physical desires, our want for stuff, is basically limitless. But the planet's resources are not. So from this perspective, a system like capitalism, which is literally built on fueling this infinite thirst for physical things, can only ever lead to one thing: constant competition, exploitation, and this feeling of never, ever being satisfied. Okay, so if that's the root problem, how does it actually play out across history? Well, Prout has a pretty unique framework for this. It proposes that civilizations don't just move forward in a straight line, but they actually rise and fall in a predictable cycle. It's called the Samaja chakra, or the social cycle. So instead of thinking about history as this linear march of progress, Prout sees it more like a rotating cycle of power, where different types of people, different classes, take their turn in the driver's seat. And this cycle moves through 4 distinct ages. It starts with the rule of laborers, which is pretty disorganized. That gives way to the warriors, who come in to impose order. But over time, their brute force gets overthrown by the intellectuals, who rule through ideas and dogma. And finally, the intellectuals get pushed aside by the capitalists, who rule through money. According to Prout, each age has to end when the ruling class gets exploitative, which then sparks a revolution that brings in the next era. So, that brings us to today, right now. Prout diagnoses our modern world as being in the late, kind of decadent stage of that capitalist or Vaishesha age. And it says we are suffering from some very specific diseases. From this point of view, our era is suffering from 3 big terminal illnesses. Capitalism isn't seen as a creator of wealth, but as an engine of exploitation. Democracy is kind of brushed off as mobocracy, something that's easily manipulated by the rich. And nationalism, well, Prout is particularly scathing about that one. I mean, this quote really says it all. For Prout, nationalism isn't some virtue. It's a mental disease, an arbitrary, divisive idea that pits humanity against itself for no logical reason. It's put on the same level as things like racism or casteism. Okay, that's a lot of diagnoses, so let's talk about the cure. Because Prout isn't just about critique, it's a super detailed blueprint for a completely different kind of society, and it starts with the economy. And the fundamental difference really boils down to motivation. Under capitalism, the motive is profit. Under Prout, it's consumption, making sure everyone has what they need. And this one change, it changes everything. Think about it. When new technology makes us more efficient, the result isn't unemployment like it often is now. Instead, everyone just gets to work less. It frees up our time for other things, mental, spiritual pursuits. The goal shifts from hoarding wealth to guaranteeing that everyone has the necessities of life. And here's how it's actually structured. It's not pure communism, and it's not pure capitalism. It's a pragmatic three-tiered model. So key industries, like utilities and big infrastructure, they're run by the government. Medium-sized businesses are run as cooperatives by the workers themselves. And small individual businesses, they're left in private hands. Now for what might be the most radical part. If you thought the economic model was a departure from the norm, just you wait until you see Prout's vision for global politics and leadership. So the key to Prout's whole political system is this figure, the sadvipra. And this is not your typical politician. A sadvipra is defined as a spiritual revolutionary, someone who is morally incorruptible, highly intelligent, brave, and just absolutely committed to the welfare of all. And they are willing to fight exploitation wherever they see it. And this is their job. Prout actually advocates for a world government that's led by a board of these sadvipras. Their job is not to belong to any of those four classes in the social cycle, but to control the cycle from the very center, from its nucleus. They're like the guardians, and they're meant to intervene, with force if they have to stop any one class, whether it's warriors, intellectuals, or capitalists, from becoming exploitative. It's a vision of a truly benevolent, moral dictatorship. So what is all this for? I mean, a whole new economy, a new kind of world government? What's the ultimate endgame for the entire Prout system? Well, the goal is to create a society that can finally move beyond what Prout calls fissiparous tendencies. And that's a fancy term for all the limited, divisive identities, like nation, religion, or race, that cause all the conflict in the world. The aim is to replace all of them with a single, unifying human identity. And so we come to the final prescription. After diagnosing all the diseases of our modern isms, Sarkar offers the ultimate cure, the panacea, universalism. It's this recognition that we are all part of a single cosmic family, with a shared inheritance and a shared destiny. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. Prout argues that just political and economic solutions by themselves are always going to fail. It suggests that the only lasting foundation for a just and unified world has to be a spiritual one. So the question is, in a world that is so fractured by division, could the idea of a shared cosmic inheritance be the one thing powerful enough to finally bring us all together?